And welcome to the Chamber Hour live from the studios of WATR. Now your host, the President and CEO of the Waterbury Regional Chamber, Lynn Ward. Good morning, Lynn.
Good morning, Tom. Thanks for hosting and opening for me. I really appreciate it. It's great to be here again on WATR. Listeners might be a little confused because this is the first time we are at 9 a.m. Our show has been on for, I think, over 25 years, and we've always been in the 10 a.m. spot. So we're happy to follow Chris and the whole morning program and coming to you now at 9 a.m. A lot's been going on at the Chamber. Just this week, we had our golf tournament out at Oxford Greens. Want to give a shout out to the great staff at Oxford Greens and all the members that came out for our golf tournament. We had a great time, and certainly it helps to raise non-dues revenue for the Chamber. So that turned out to be a great event. We last night had a young professionals event out at Hidden Valley mini golf course. So it's been quite a week of golf. We had about 60 young professionals networking with one another, really, building relationships, which helps keep young professionals at jobs here in the local Greater Waterbury community. And that was a wonderful event. Shout out to Hidden Valley Golf Course and Paul there and his team. If you've not been there, I encourage you to go there. It's a wonderful mini golf course, great food, and you can have a great time. So we have more programming coming up with our Young Professionals organization. So you can always check out our website and see everything that's going on to get your young professionals involved. Tonight we have an Out for Business at Silo Point in Southbury. So looking forward to networking with over 100 people out at Silo Point. Again, these are all opportunities to drive business to business and to make connections. And we know that people like to do business with people they know, they like, and they trust. And the Chamber's networking opportunities really provides that platform. Tomorrow morning at Southbury again, at Calvary South on Kettletown Road, we have Wake Up Your Business. That's an opportunity for members of the Chamber and not yet members of the Chamber. Perhaps there's a business owner or employee of a business that you might be responsible for business development. These are great opportunities to come out just for an hour, 8 to 9 a.m., meet other business owners in the community, talk about what your business does, and make some connections. So a full week of activity here at the Waterbury Regional Chamber, including all of our other chambers, Naugatuck Chamber, Southbury Chamber, and Watertown Oakville Chamber. We're going to talk a little bit later about some things coming up next week, especially a new event for the Businesswomen's Forum. But for now, I want to welcome my guest this morning. I hope that you saw the column that printed this past Monday in the Republican American about United Way. I'm a very proud member of the leadership team of United Way and have been a supporter since 1984. That was one of the things that when I joined the Chamber staff, I was given a form by Frank Fulco, who was our president of the Chamber, and he said, everyone that works at the Chamber enrolls in United Way. Here is your form. And I have gladly donated for the last 40 years. So I'm so happy to have today with us the campaign chair of this year's United Way campaign, Dave Ferraro. Dave is the president of Carpin Manufacturing, and Jered Bruzas, who is the chief impact officer at United Way. Jered and Dave, thank you for being here with me.
Thanks for having us, Lynn.
Thank you for having us, Lynn.
Well, you both do tremendous work for United Way, and Dave, as a volunteer leader in the community, it's no small feat to take on the responsibility of the chair of the campaign. And I know we just launched the campaign at the annual breakfast September 5th. How did that go?
The breakfast was fantastic. It just was a great day, a great morning. The place was decorated beautifully with the campaign theme, which we'll talk a little bit about later, I'm sure. There was just great energy to the room. It was great seeing everyone. And I know you and and many of us have gone to that breakfast, for every year for as far back as we can remember. It's a little different when you're presenting, so it was a little bit. I was a little bit more focused on the morning, but it went great. There were over about 375 people in attendance, which I think was one of the biggest turnouts we've had. And then during the breakfast, we shared a lot of great videos and stories that show the different United Way work that's happening in the community. It just was really great. The campaign video is fantastic. All those videos they showed of companies volunteering and some of the programs that are working for the community was just really great to see. It was also great that we took the opportunity that day to actually try to make a difference that morning. We asked all the attendees to bring bath towels, and they collected over 1,000 bath towels. It was almost a mountain of bath towels by the door by the end of the event. It was really great to see. And then, of course, that coincides with the Day of Caring for the United Way. So right after the event, about 100 volunteers who were at the breakfast from 15 different companies and organizations. They fanned out across the 10-town region to volunteer and do projects for partner agencies. Those are the agencies that do the work that the community really needs. And they range from painting to landscaping, reading to children, and much more. And you know, while they were there doing that, helping, they also learned about the work that those agencies are doing. So it was really great of them to get out in the community, help those partner agencies with some tasks and maintenance items that they would otherwise have to spend their funds on. Instead, they can use that money to help people in the community. And we're really thankful for all the work that they did. Also, the Republican American was there, interviewed a bunch of us, and they did a great article the next day. That was really great. So it was just a fantastic day.
Well, I got to ask, why bath towels?
I guess, well, Jered, why don't you take that one?
Yeah, it's a good question, Lynn. So as we do so much work with our homeless providers in the community, one of the ongoing challenges that folks have in our community, especially our community partners at the local homeless response system, are bath towels, right?
Really?
It's
okay.
Always important to make sure that folks have good access to hygiene and overall health, and having a good hot shower every day is an important part of our daily routines, but it also needs to be part of folks that are experiencing homelessness as well. So many of the great, and I also think about how many great chamber members were at that event.
Mm-hmm.
So
yes.
many, Lynn, right? I mean, almost probably just about all of them, right, that were there and supporting us and bringing towels and helping out in the effort, not just getting ready for the campaign, but meeting the immediate needs of folks that need access to showers. So folks, our friends at Center for Human Development, CHD's Hospitality Center, Safe Haven of Greater Waterbury, St. Vincent de Paul, and Salvation Army were all beneficiaries of over 1,000 towels, which is really exciting to see.
That is.
We were stuffing cars.
Yeah, I bet. I don't think our listeners know all the work that goes into launching a campaign. Dave, can you explain a little bit about the behind the scenes?
Sure. We've actually started planning, myself with the United Way staff, in January, even though the campaign doesn't really kick off until September. And one of the primary responsibilities that I had was to assemble the Campaign Leadership Council, which is a great group of dedicated, hardworking local leaders in the community, and many of whom have been doing this on the Campaign Leadership Council for years and decades, including yourself, Lynn. Mm-hmm. Those are the people that do a lot of the hard work in trying to make sure the campaign is successful. So they're behind the scenes, and they've put in so much time starting this summer, and we've all been working really hard to make sure that the campaign is successful.
Is there a theme this year?
Yeah, the theme is fantastic. It's Find It in Your Heart is the theme, and it's really what we're asking people is to find it in their heart to give, to donate, find it in their heart to learn more about the United Way and the work they do in the community, find it in your heart to volunteer. The logo was created by the generosity of Works, Grant Copeland, and his team at Works, and they just did a fantastic job. I don't know if you haven't seen it, you should check it out. It's a beautiful heart-shaped logo with the words "Find It in Your Heart" in different colors, and it's just a warm message, and it's a pretty logo, and I think you see it in one vision, you understand what we're talking about is that it takes heart, and all the people who currently donate and volunteer and work at partner agencies, they have it in their heart to help people in the community. And that's what we're asking everyone to do is, look at that, think about the theme, look at the logo, and find it in their heart to help out. And if you haven't seen the logo, you can see it on UWGW.org.
So, as president of Carpin Manufacturing, which has been in our community for many, many years, you're a really busy guy. Why take on the role of the United Way campaign chair?
Yeah, well, a lot of my friends say that too. Why did you do this? But, it's really an evolution of Carpin's commitment to the community. And, for Carpin, this is I don't know if you know, this is our 40th year anniversary.
Yes, congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. And I've been there for 30 years, which is really hard to believe. But, for as far back as I can remember, we did United Way campaigns and supported other organizations in the community. And it's just something that we've always, felt like we should do. And that really comes from, Ralph Carpinella's vision of what part we play in the community. Ralph is the president, as the owner and chairman of the board of Carpin. I also have had numerous friends do this role, going back to 2010 when Joe Gugliotti and Peter Baker did it. And actually, I was able to recently find a photo of them from that campaign season, and it's priceless. But, it's fascinating. But and from those guys all the way up to last year's campaign with Dave and Pam Rotatori, who are dear friends of mine. I've been inspired by their leadership. Them, all the campaign chairs in between. I just think. When I saw them doing it, I was really admired their effort, impressed by what they were doing, and so when Kristen gave me the opportunity to do this year, I jumped at it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's a privilege to be asked, and it's definitely an example of your leadership, your abilities, and your stature in the community. So kudos to you.
Well, thank you. And one of the other really important things that at Carpin we've done a little bit more over the past few years is we've done a little more volunteering, and we went on, both myself, other employees, and a couple different groups, United Way impact tours. And so these are tours where you see firsthand, you visit the partner agencies, you visit the people who are doing the work in the community, and you see firsthand what's actually going on. Where do the funds that United Way generates and the donations from the people, where does it actually go to work? And some of what you see is inspiring, some of it is heartbreaking, and it's just it's really eye-opening, and I think that's another driver of why I'm doing this.
Jered, the impact tours that Dave just referred to sound like a great way to educate people on the impact they have. Can you expound on that?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Great. Thanks. And Dave, I appreciate you talking about the tours, because I think that they really are impactful in so many different ways. We at United Way are really proud to partner with so many different community organizations that are doing great work every day, and really proud to highlight by bringing people in to see firsthand really the great work that they're doing and the impact they have. I'm a firm believer that seeing is believing, and when we're able to get folks out into the community, it's not just one thing for us to talk about it here and other platforms, but to be able to get people out into the community and see firsthand really what's happening is really inspiring, which Dave was just alluding to. So we do impact tours through each of our different 3 focus areas on basic needs, financial stability, and education. And what we do is we bring small groups of folks out to 2 or 3 different sites to see the work that they're doing. So it could be taking folks out to our friends at Waterbury Youth Services to see the work they're doing, or YMCA, or the Mattotuck Museum, or it could be the homeless response system and going out into the woods and seeing, homeless encampments and learning about some of the barriers and challenges that people are experiencing there, or soup kitchens and food pantries, and so many other different organizations, well over 30 organizations that we're bringing people out to see really what's happening. So people are inspired by them. People are also educated by them. And it also helps break down some stereotypes, myths, and misconceptions. But also the folks that are working in these programs, they see people coming out that are intrigued about the work that they're doing.
They're happy to share what they're doing. They take time out of their day to, give you a tour of the place and tell you what they feel about what they're doing.
Yeah, we were with some friends from Webster Bank yesterday, and we had taken some of their folks out, and one of the comments that some Webster teammates were sharing was the impact. We had gone out to the woods, and it was a really, really cold day. It was bitterly cold, actually, that day, and we thought about canceling, but I said, well, if they can be out there, then we can bring people out as well.
Mm-hmm.
And Marissa was talking about her experiencing meeting one of the folks that were living in the encampment, and how she sees him regularly and stops and says hello,
mm-hmm.
right? And just that memory that she has of him and the experience that she had out in the woods, how impactful that has been for her. So these tours are a really great way and opportunity for us to engage folks in the community.
Well, we're going to talk more about United Way, and we are here with Dave Ferraro, the president of Carpin Manufacturing, and the campaign chair, and Jered Bruzas of United Way as the chief impact officer. But we're going to take a break, and we'll be back.
And you're listening to the Chamber Hour here on a Thursday morning, live from the studios of WATR 97.7 FM and 1320 AM. Once again, your host, the president and CEO of the Waterbury Regional Chamber, Lynn Ward.
Thank you, Tom. So we're here talking with our leaders from United Way of Greater Waterbury. And Jered, you were talking a little bit about the different impact tours and some of the programs you have. So why don't we pick up there? I know there's so much more to talk about.
Yeah, we're doing a really great, exciting series that we've kicked off over the summer around a series of different lunch and learns that we're doing that we're continue to keep on going, and got some great things coming up. One we have in a couple of weeks here on the 30th. That's around suicide prevention and making sure that we're getting that information out there and those materials. And it's actually being conducted by Ariana Mata, who is our manager of volunteer engagement. But she's also the board chair of a statewide local suicide prevention group here as well, so this program is near and dear to our heart, but it is Suicide Prevention Month, and so we're going to be highlighting that here in a couple of days. Yesterday I had the opportunity to spend some time with our friends at Safe Haven of Greater Waterbury, one of our long-standing partner organizations, and we've been really proud to invest well over $1 million over the last decade into their programming. And one of the things that Amanda Moreau was sharing with us, the new deputy director there, was how impactful these lunch and learns have been to her team and staff. And she commented that the quality and the expertise that these local community experts that are coming to share their information during these lunch and learns that are typically between 12 and 1 on Mondays is helping her staff with free staff development information, which is a great opportunity that our local community partners don't have to pay for these experts to come and hear great content and learn about different systems and services on so many different topics that many of our community partners are in need of, but also challenges and barriers and issues that our consumers are facing. Another example is around fair housing, which we'll be having the week after next. So all kinds of great material that's out there on a variety of different topics that are supporting our local community partners learn about systems and services to ensure that our consumers, the folks that we provide supports and resources to, are getting the greatest level of care and support that they need and deserve.
Wow. And all this takes money. Dave, let's talk a little bit about the goal for the campaign and why it is so important to raise these dollars.
Yeah, I think when you when you look at the list of agencies that the United Way, the partner agencies the United Way supports, and when you go on agency tours and see the work they're doing, you can really see how impactful that is to the community, and more importantly, more strikingly, you can imagine if that wasn't there. So, you know, if the United Way wasn't there and these partner agencies weren't doing what they're doing in the community, you know, there are literally thousands of people that would be far worse off. People who have, you know, are going through difficulty and get, you know, help and assistance from these partner agencies, and that wouldn't be there. And that to me, when I think about that, that's what drives many of us who work on the campaign, that, you know, we really need to do what we're doing because it's so vital to the community. And not just, you know, when I say the community, I'm talking about the 10-town region that the United Way serves. You know, if you think that people in Cheshire and Middlebury and Watertown aren't also benefiting from the United Way services, that's a misunderstanding. You know, there are, you know, lots of people from those towns that utilize partner agencies that are supported by the United Way. So it really is the whole community at large. And, you know, one of our biggest goals is to increase the number of companies, workplaces that open their doors to run a workplace campaign and share that opportunity with their employees. Many employees love to be part of the community and want to give back. And they actually find it very convenient and satisfying that their employer does that through workplace campaigns. You know, we've been able to go to companies that weren't participating, educate them on the great work the United Way does. Then those gracious employers have allowed us to, you know, talk to their employees and educate them on all the great work the United Way does. Those employees then participate in workplace campaigns or do volunteering, and then they feel they're part of the community, part of the solution, and they are. And, you know, I think years ago we didn't really expect that out of our workplaces, but these days, you know, workplaces have a much larger social responsibility mission and component, and I think, you know, being part of the work the United Way does gives them, you know, an opportunity to bring them into the community, to bring their employees as part of the community. But the truth is, there are fewer people giving. There are, you know, fewer companies today than there were 20 years ago, and you know, but the people who are giving more, and it's really great to see. Once people understand that they can help create change by being part of the solution through a gift to the United Way, I think people continue to give and want to give more. And we're just trying to have the opportunity to share those stories, and we're able to do that today. So thank you, Lynn. You know, every day there's donors making donations that make a difference, and that they make the United Way's work possible. It all comes down to this campaign that we're running.
So if an employer is listening, how can they get involved? Who should they call at United Way to say, you know what, it's time? They may have been in business for 30, 40 years, and they've always resisted asking their employees to, you know, to give out of their paychecks. But maybe they're ready after hearing us today. What's the next step?
The next step is call me, and I'll come in there and talk to them. Call Kristen, call anyone at the United Way, and we'd be happy to come in and have a meeting with leadership or anybody that they want us to talk about, and to explain all the different ways that companies can be involved in the United Way. And it's not, the workplace campaign is obviously, you know, what our primary goal is, but there's many ways to become involved in the community through the United Way, you know, outside of a workplace campaign. There's doing agency tours, there's volunteering. Volunteering can be as simple as setting up a team of, you know, 5 to 6 people to go somewhere that the United Way, one of their partner agencies, has needs, and the United Way will coordinate the whole thing. It's very easy. Employees can, leave the workplace. They can go do their volunteering for 2 or 3 hours, come back to work. They tell everybody about it with smiles on their face and tell everyone what they saw. The company's posted on social media. It's just a great way to get involved outside of workplace campaign. But, I've talked to CEOs who, previously were reluctant to do workplace campaigns, and a lot of them say, I don't feel comfortable asking my employees to give. And what I say to that is, you're not asking them to give, you're giving them the opportunity to give. Okay, you're putting this in front of them and saying, here's a great organization that does great work. Let them tell you about it. And then the folks from the United Way during the campaign would explain all the great work that's happening, highlight some examples, and then it's up to the employees to decide if they want to give. And surprisingly, many do, because they want to be part of the solution. They want to be a part of the community.
And interesting, the conversations that I have had with business owners over the years, and every year I do reach out on behalf of United Way, and I hear the same thing you just explained, and I say to them, your company can make a contribution to United Way on behalf of yourself, your company, and your employees. So maybe the company can sponsor something for United Way, and that is a way that they can show their employees that they are caring about the community. And, oftentimes as employers, we don't know what's going on in our employees' lives. We can find out that, somebody's really having a hard time at the grocery store. They're really having a hard time paying their electric bill. I mean, that's a huge issue now. So employees of our local companies can be getting services that United Way is actually helping support, and the employer doesn't even realize that. But I bet quite often people within those companies are actually being helped by United Way. So, as president of our Waterbury Regional Chamber, I always encourage business owners to not only be part of our organization, but to be supportive of United Way. I remember Jackie Carroll would tell small business owners, there's 2 things you need to do to be successful in Greater Waterbury in business. Join the Chamber of Commerce and give to United Way. And she said that so proudly, and people listened to Jackie, and I think that was great advice. So,
but you're right, Lynn.
Yeah.
Like numerous times after, we have the campaign meeting, and then the meeting is over and people are milling around talking to one another, and numerous times we've had employees come up to Kristen or to whoever was the United Way volunteer helping us out with the meeting and explain that either they or their sister or their cousin used one of these services that were talked about during the meeting. So you're 100% right that many of us have employees who do benefit from the work the United Way does.
Mm-hmm. And we did a survey of young professionals in the area, and the number one thing that they felt was most important was for them to give back. And that's why under our Young Professionals organization, we started philanthropy opportunities. So we did a sock drive, we did a blanket drive, we've done food drives, and the young professionals really do want to give back. I think they actually want to do something more than, donate that $1 a week from their paychecks, but they will do both if they're asked, and it's really just to have an opportunity to have that conversation. So that is what we're asking the employers out there. Let us talk to your employees about how United Way is making a terrific impact throughout our community. I know United Way back in the day was known as a fundraiser and allocator, but today's United Way is involved in so much more. I understand there are several other events United Way is involved in and coming up. Jered, can we talk a little bit about that?
We're busy. We've got all kinds of fun stuff coming up, Lynn, and we're excited to be really actively engaged in all kinds of different stuff. We've recently, just a few weeks ago, were able to respond to the flooding that many of our neighbors in the community had experienced. And I'll tell you what a sobering experience that was for me, Lynn, to go out there and see firsthand the devastation. It took me over an hour just to get to downtown Southbury, to our community partner, American Red Cross's pop-up mobile site that they had there at the senior center. I personally wasn't prepared to see the devastation, but then also to hear the stories and the real impact that event had on people's lives. And one of the stories that's seared in my memory is of the family that lost everything. One of the families that lost everything, including a year ago, almost that week that we saw them, her husband.
Oh no!
And the impact that of losing her husband within that year, and also losing everything in their young family had. Just
Wow.
That powerful story of them, not ready to take out her deceased husband's, things and all the stuff they are shoveling and scooping it out and as garbage.
And having to go through the recovery without her husband.
Right. Yeah. But being able to be there as United Way to accompany those folks and provide the financial assistance, was a bit of a comfort for us as a team, but it was also great to see so many of our community partners that were galvanized and engaged and providing a really strong, robust response to some folks that are Alice, or not even Alice, just folks in the community that needed a help during a time of crisis. So we're at many events. That's just one of them, but we've got some other ones that are coming up, and we've got a father-friendly literacy event that we're excited to talk about here and see in a few weeks. That's a really great partnership between a number of local community partners and supporting early literacy and literacy efforts and one of the authors has got a great story, My First Tie. So dads out there with their kids, their boys, and learning how to tie a tie and things like that. Something kind of near and dear with my 4 little kids. Actually, our kids are excited to go down for that event.
Wow.
It should be a really great activity for my family and many families here in the greater Waterbury area. We've got a pop-up VITA event at the Silas Bronson Library talking about some of the COVID dollars that are about to expire and how folks that haven't accessed those resources can get access to those, which are really helpful for long-term financial stability. VITA is really a vital part of our community and brings back each year well over $1 million back in the community, and over the past few years, $10 million back. And so VITA is a program that we are proud to support and sponsor here in the greater Waterbury area. And this pop-up site to help get some additional resources will be coming at Silas Bronson, another great community partner, on October 5th, which we're excited about. And others like the mobile dental clinic, where hundreds and hundreds of people will get access to free dental care, which we are supporting and sponsoring. We're also working with our friends at St. Mary's Hospital that does so much great in our community. And one of the fun things that they're doing here is their second annual Black Doctors with White Coats event that we are proud to be a sponsoring member, where they'll have hundreds of kids and their families to learn about the potential avenues of them becoming future doctors, so that the medical profession reflects the face of the community here in greater Waterbury area, and planting those early seeds, paving the way for future medical providers in our community. So we're proud supporters and sponsors of that. And also the Immigrant Story series that our friends at Palace Theater are hosting, that we are proud sponsors of. I believe that our friend Salim Hussein will be one of the presenters here in the near future. So many great things that are happening in our community, so many great events that folks can have access to.
So, Jered, right before our next break, which is going to be in a minute, you mentioned the word Alice. But I think that our listeners need a little bit of education on what did you mean by Alice?
Sure. Yeah, it's a great question. Thanks, Lynn. ALICE stands for, it's an acronym, Asset Limited Income Constrained and Employed. So I think of it as just a lot of the folks that are working in their community that are just living paycheck to paycheck, which is so many folks in our community that don't have deep enough reserves and that are just on the margins of they're not eligible for any type of assistance because they make too much money, but they don't have enough money in reserves. And if something happens, some type of an emergency, a car breaks down or the hot water tank goes in their house or something like that, and they don't have that capital behind them or the credit to be able to provide for that replacement or repair or whatever it is, we're deeply concerned about providing support for not just the folks that are below the poverty level through our food pantries, soup kitchens, and homeless response system, which many folks see the work that we're doing there, but also for folks that are just having a hard time making ends meet, that ALICE population that needs the support, but unfortunately they're not eligible for any other type of public benefits and supports.
And as I recall, the percentage of people who fall within ALICE is pretty significant. It was much higher than I thought it would be.
Absolutely, and so we're also seeing that growing trend there, but we're also seeing a lot of the ALICE households that, because they're not eligible for assistance and services, are going to get supports and services from many of our community partners like our soup kitchens and food pantries. So although many folks that are above the federal poverty level and are eligible for food stamps or SNAP benefits, we're seeing more and more people that are ALICE going and making those hard choices to get free groceries so they can pay those increased electric bills that we're all experiencing and some other challenges.
Right. Well, we're going to take a break right now, and we are going to come back and continue the conversation. And then I'm going to talk about some upcoming events at the Waterbury Regional Chamber and all of our affiliate organizations.
And you're listening to the Chamber Hour here on a Thursday morning, live from the studios of WATR 97.7 FM and 1320 AM. Once again, your host, the President and CEO of the Waterbury Regional Chamber, Lynn Ward.
Thank you, Tom.
You're welcome.
So, Dave, we're talking with Dave Ferraro. He's the president of Carpin Manufacturing and the campaign chair for United Way, and Jered Bruzas, who's the chief impact officer of United Way. So we're going to wrap up a few more details about the campaign. And I want to ask Dave if there was one reason you can give our audience as to why they should contribute to United Way, or why chamber members or even other companies should run a United Way campaign. What would that be?
Don't get me started. I don't even know if I can just boil it down to one reason, but probably the most overarching reason is that you shouldn't have to choose one thing. You shouldn't have to choose between whether you want to support a food bank or an after-school program, and you shouldn't have to choose between helping a family avoid eviction or supporting a job training program. And you shouldn't have to be able to choose. You shouldn't have to choose between providing services for someone trying to get out of an abusive relationship or providing books to low-income children. The list of needs in our community is vast, and the United Way partners with numerous partner agencies that covers a broad range of needs. And so you don't have to choose. One gift to United Way, combined with others, strategically invested by volunteers who drive the process at United Way, does all of that and more in a way no single gift to an agency or program could ever do on its own. And I want to touch on those volunteers a little bit, because I think that's really at the heart of what the United Way is. There is a team of volunteers, and we don't see them, but they meet regularly. And what these folks do, they're leaders in the community who volunteer their time for United Way. They assess the needs in the community. They decide where to deploy funds and resources, which partner agencies to fund and by how much. They then assess outcomes to make sure that the money that is put into the community is well spent, and they make sure that your donations have impact. And that just gives me a great feeling that the money that I donate is going to go to good use, and that there are people working behind the scenes to make sure that is the case.
So where can people learn more, and how can people, after listening to us today, take action right now? Because that's what we want, right? We want that person who said, okay, I'm just going to call up, I'm going to take care of it now.
Yeah, that's great, and I hope they do. They can find everything they need at UWGW.org. That's a great place. Other than the homepage has a picture of me on it. Other than that, they have great information about the United Way, the programs that they support. You can donate right from there. And Jered alluded to before, there's lots of videos. The campaign video is there. You'll see the campaign artwork made by the works group there. It's a great resource. And so please go there and don't wait. We have a short window of time to run our campaign. It runs from now until the end of the year. And you know, the money that's raised in the campaign funds all the great work that the United Way does throughout the community. The numerous partner agencies that do great work for the people that need it. And so many of them are counting on us, and we're counting on you to find it in your heart.
Well, that is a very powerful short, I'll say. You know, Works did a fabulous job with the messaging.
They always do.
It's a short video, and it's really touching. It really does have a great impact. So I know, Jered, that's the goal here. You and your team and Dave and the whole leadership cabinet, we have a lot of work ahead of us, and we're hoping that the encouragement by the chamber, whether it's through our newspaper column, our radio show today, conversations that I have with people all the time, and that our staff has, you know, we hope that really helps. We have had 100% giving from the chamber staff for as long as I've been here,
wow,
40
that's
years.
fantastic.
Yes,
Excellent.
It's part of our culture at the Waterbury Regional Chamber. We have 12 employees, and you know, they all give. And our employees, you know, struggle too, just like other people's employees. But to just give $1, $2, $3, that's all it takes, and that's what we ask. And I think that could be a real easy ask on behalf of employers. So I want to thank you both for coming in today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn.
We appreciate Kristen Jacoby's leadership as the executive director and,
And
president.
I wanted to
United Way.
interject that the United Way staff is fantastic. Led by Kristen, the whole team there has, you know, I've been working a lot more closely with them this year than I ever had, and I just see their dedication and their hard work, and they're busy people, and they really care, and it's great to be working with them.
Thank you.
Well, I bet it is. And Dave, I don't want to let you go without congratulating you, Ralph, Carpinella, and the whole team at Carpin. You have a 40-year anniversary this year. Can you just give a minute on what does Carpin Manufacturing manufacture?
We make furniture hardware items that we sell to large office and school furniture manufacturers across North America. So the feet for the bottoms of the legs of tables and chairs, the casters on your office chair, and a lot of other custom feet and components that go into the chairs. So we do injection molding and metal stamping, and you know, we've been doing this for 40 years, obviously, and it's really great. We've had a week long of celebrations this week with employees. Food trucks and an ice cream truck. We're gonna have a luncheon on Friday. We had gifts, and so this is our week that we're celebrating, and we're really excited about it.
Well, we're really excited for you, and I believe Carpin has been a member for all of those 40 years. So thank you for your investment in the business community. You know, I think it would be helpful for people to understand when companies like Carpin are members of the Waterbury Regional Chamber. Oftentimes manufacturers will say, I'm not doing business locally. I don't need to go network with other small business owners to improve my business. But the reason they are members is they want to help contribute to a strong business community, great quality of life in our community. They care about public policy, which is one of our main pillars at the Chamber. So thank you for your involvement and support of the Chamber.
Well, thank you, and thank you for the great work that you and your folks do there.
I want to thank our guests, Jered and Dave, for being here this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you, and we'll talk to you again next month. Have a great day.